Just something.
All you gotta realize, you got Cody and you made it with just that dog of yours.
Just one with isolation with one
A
dog.
lot of animals, they could be around, so.
Yeah.
You made it pretty good last year.
I guarantee you, whatever dogs they had on there were nowhere nearly as good as my buddy Cody. But there were animals on the ark that were probably, and they may not have been hostile on the ark, but he's got lions and elephants and other things on there.
I always felt like that the animals would have had to been under some sort of docile mode, that they could not be their normal.
Surely God, just like God helped, gathered them up, and surely they took a break from, eating each other. They had to eat something. I'm guessing he didn't feed the lions hay on this trip. So he gathered food for them of some sort. So yeah, there's just a lot of fill in the blank stuff that we really don't 100% know. But the nature of these animals, God had to intervene somehow. I was just driving down and thinking, did Noah have to go out and gather up bumblebees? Honeybees? Did he have to go gather up wasps? Did he have to gather locusts? Did he have to gather flies? Your mind can take off on a tangent and it's, get you way out there sometimes. Okay, where do we get to? Verse 19, all wildlife, all livestock, every bird and every creature that crawls on the earth came out of the ark by their groups. Okay, we'll sort of shift gears here. Verse 20, then Noah built an altar to the Lord. He took some of every kind of clean animal and every kind of clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. When the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma, he said to himself, I will never again curse the ground because of man, even though man's inclination is evil from his youth, and I will never again strike down every living thing as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, and day and night will not cease. Okay. Something I think the book pointed out, God didn't really speak to Noah from the point of telling him to get on the ark, load up the ark, and to get off the ark. Right? At least that's recorded. So Noah got off, he took some of these clean animals. I think we talked about this in a class before, but one reason that there are more than one pair of clean animals is for the sacrifices that were coming, right? Did God tell Noah to offer a sacrifice?
I'm not aware of it.
Does it indicate at all that God said, and now I want you to take one from every clean animal and build an altar? Did he instruct him at all that we know of? No. What experience would Noah have had with sacrifices?
Cain and Abel's sacrifice.
We read of Cain and Abel offering different kinds of sacrifices and God being pleased with Abel's sacrifice. Okay? But really, we don't read a whole lot else, do we? In those early books of Genesis about offering sacrifices to God. We don't read about clean animals, I don't believe at all, until God makes the distinction of telling him what to put on the ark. The 7 pairs versus the 1 pair, clean and unclean. So why did Noah offer this sacrifice to God? Why do you think? I guess is a better.
He knew who saved him.
Say it again.
He knew who saved him.
He knew God had saved him. Can you imagine the chaos when the world is starting to flood? Do you think Noah and his family didn't see anything awful happen? Maybe they didn't because they were closed in. but you know everyone else is dead that you knew, except you and your family. Is this just maybe traditionally, I'm more asking, is this traditionally something that Noah would have said, like my forefathers, I will offer a sacrifice to God? Right? It's probably nothing you just wake up and said, I think it'd be a good idea to build an altar and kill some of these animals and burn them for God. I think he kind of already had the inkling. Yeah.
You recall there's a passage earlier in Genesis where it says, and they began to call upon the name of the Lord. I think within the lineage of Noah, he was taught. And if you do a chronology, there are several generations going way, way back that Noah would have known by the 600th year of his life.
Right.
Some of them didn't die until right near the flood.
So you think that,
You learn to be righteous from someone.
right. And so are we concluding then within that righteousness that he knew that offering sacrifices to God was a righteous act?
I would think so.
That yeah.
The procedure.
Yeah, we're having to kind of make that conclusion, but he did it. According to the Scripture, it seems he did it voluntarily. Okay, and kind of like what you said, Ron. It's like he's probably so happy to be alive, but he was aware of the power of God, that God could do this and save him from what had just happened, save him and all these animals. And Noah was obedient, start to finish, through this whole process. He never questioned God. He never refused to do anything. From building the ark all the way up through when he said, okay, now get off the ark. Noah was obedient. The only things he did kind of on his own, and I think the book pointed this out, is he let the birds out to sort of, check the status of is the water going down? Okay. All right. It said the Lord, 21, the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma. He said to himself, I will never curse. Okay. The fact that he smelled it, is that an indirect way of saying something more? Did he just say, smells good, whatever it is? The neighbor's barbecuing a steak.
I think the point of the sacrifice is God is pleased that you're giving up something for Him. I don't know where the first idea of giving up animals came from versus anything else, but there's something inherently valuable to God about giving up something voluntarily to Him that maybe isn't obvious to me, but it is. It just is.
Okay. And so it pleased God. So the fact that he smelled the sacrifice, the pleasing aroma. A couple of scriptures that came up, and he talks to the nation of Israel in Leviticus chapter 26, but he talks about all these things that they're doing, and he said, I will not smell your sacrifices. It's like, I don't want to smell it. And there's a verse in 1 Samuel that said, to obey is better than sacrifice, to heed than the fat of rams, right? So the fact that this was a pleasing sacrifice, not just that God was aware of the sacrifice. Okay, and then he said, I'll never again curse the ground because of man, even though man's inclination is evil from his youth. That's a pretty big statement for God to say about mankind. And it's true. What about when God, this is where I think it's one of those things we could really talk more about, and I don't know if we'd ever get anywhere more, but it's interesting to me. What did God do when Adam and Eve sinned in relation to the ground? Curse the ground. He said to Adam, he said, for your sake. Basically, that's a way of saying, because of you, I'm cursing the ground. So how did the ground change before the flood? What did Adam and Eve have to do to find a meal before God cursed the ground? Not much. Yeah, just go get it. But now he's having to go out and he's having to till the ground. He's having to fight the weeds and the thorns and briars to scratch for a meal. Okay, so God cursed the ground for his sake, because of you. And I know you go into Romans 8, talks about the whole creation groans and all this. So there's just a lot more to that. Kind of a different subject, but interesting anyway. I don't know that the earth, that part of it necessarily changed significantly. I might be wrong, but I don't know pre-flood or post-flood if the curse that God had put on the ground to where, because we still have to work to eat, we still have to kill weeds, kill thistles, things like that. But he did say he would not destroy the ground again, will not curse as in total destruction by water. Okay? Okay, and then he says, and I think this is written as it's a rhyme or a song. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, the day and night will not cease. Okay, and then we'll go on to chapter 9 next week. And I think Ray is teaching Genesis for 2-3 weeks, depending on when Mitch comes back.
3 or 4, yeah.
3 or 4? Is he just going to stay down there?
I think so.
It'd be hard to come back, wouldn't it? Okay, any comments or questions? We've got about 4 minutes left, and I'm not going to stand up here and improvise. I'm done. So, Richard? Oh, they're going on 4 minutes, Richard.
I have a gentleman by the name of Darren Brown, Warfield, at the Quality Inn on Murfreesboro Road, who needs a ride to services. I have his number. If someone can go get him, give him a call, let him know you're coming.
He's on Murfreesboro Road.
Murfreesboro Road,
Okay.
at the Quality Inn.
Okay. So someone on Murfreesboro Road, Quality Inn, where is that? Is that by 65?
I think so. I'm not sure. I'm trying to get it straight in my mind where it is, to be honest with you.
Okay. If someone's able,
Here, it's just before the freeway, if I'm not mistaken.
is that one they rehabbed? That
Yeah, I think so.
behind McDonald's and all that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if somebody is able to give him a ride, see Richard. Okay, we'll go ahead and stop the class here. And I appreciate it.